Hello, welcome. My name is Piotr, and I'm going to present Universal Safety Solution Design. So, Universal Safety Technologies is a company based in US and Canada. They have 150 offices across 15 regions. They specialize in selling the security systems. They have 100,000 of their commercial customers, and they're planning 10% growth for the next 5 years. Currently, US is struggling with their systems, which is leading traditional work for the employees, and that's why they choose Salesforce to leveraging and unifying process. First, I'm going to go with the org strategy, where I suggest using a single org, as there's no process or legal requirement or data which will combine for us to use the multiple orgs. Thanks to that, we're going to have also additional benefits like for 360 view, easier risk management, and lower maintainability costs. As there's explicit requirements to support multiple languages, I'm going to turn off translations. That would be for using core page, custom labels, community translations, and the email alerts. There's no such explicit requirement, but I assume that as we're talking about 2 countries, we're going to have to enable also multi-currency. Highlighting few risks, there's a really limited timeline, so I'm suggesting here using an MVP approach with limited fastest time to market and buy over build to improve the speed of delivery. There's quite challenging data migration ahead of us, which both for data and for files, which we're going to mitigate using the migration strategy, which more details later on. And there's also a requirement against the customer mobile app, and which considering for maintenance would be quite challenging. So for that, I'm assuming here we're gonna have to start the publishing process as soon as possible. I'm also assuming there's no budgetary constraints. As we're moving now to our internal users, we have a system specialist which gonna use a Salesforce Sales Cloud license with digital experience, and they're going to have access to opportunity leads, and they're going to use a CTI, namely Service Cloud Voice, for phone contacts. Support representatives are going to use a Service Cloud as they're going to use omni-channel and cases. And managers are going to need to have access to the Sales Cloud and Tableau CRM, as they were also using opportunities. For external users, we have contractors, which are going to use a customer community clouds due to reporting and sharing requirements. For primary contacts, we're going to use also CC Plus from the sharing perspective, and they need also delegated admin capability to manage their secondary contacts. And for the secondary customers, we use a customer community plus, as they need to have access to their records. As for record hierarchy, I'm going to have a separate, that's one of the 3. We have the same for Canada, where you're going to have a US manager with that's regional manager, country manager, regional manager, and office managers, under which we're going to have a special sales specialist, under which we're going to have primary contacts for Customer Community Plus. As a contractor, I actually would like to change my assumptions here. They will be under the separate 3, as they will be created by integration user, which will be outside the normal hierarchy. And services will be two levels. For each country will be the region for regional manager, country manager, and service agents. There may be additional requirement, but I'm going to assume that 2 levels is sufficient for now. Moving on to the system landscape. We can also use our single Salesforce instance, new, in which, as mentioned, we're going to use Sales Cloud, Service Cloud. We're going to use Experience Cloud with 2 customer communities, one for customers, second for contractors. On the we're going to enable my domain and omnichannel for the features. As for our files management, I'm going to use the assumption they're going to use X-Files Pro and going to use external storage to manage our files on the S3. And as for that, we're going to use Apache Product X-Files Pro. And for the reporting, we're going to use both standard reporting and Tableau CRM. As for extensions, we're going to use Service Cloud Voice, which also I forgot to put here Amazon Connect, which will be talking to Amazon Connect for our CTI capabilities and for text messages. And we're going to also enable digital experience for our Sales Cloud users. On top of that, we're going to use also SDoc with S-Sign as our Apache product and scan anywhere for scanning the barcodes. There will be 2 types of the mobile apps. One for internal users would be standard Salesforce map, which is going to communicate with the Salesforce using with the standard float user engine float, and mobile publisher out for the customer community members, which is also our user agent flow for communication, and for provisioning for authentication. And on top of that, there's a requirement also for providing social login capabilities, which can use a social login flow with talking with the Facebook, LinkedIn, and other providers. As in current landscape, there's already existing website, which we're going to public website. We're going to keep on it. We're going to provide web to lead form for our new coming leads. Moving on, I'm just using here ETL and ESB as the best practices to also provide error handling, future proofing our solution, orchestration, and manage all the integrations around it. So for our ETL, we're going to use OAuth JWT token. It will be mostly using build API. It will be would be used for data migration, initial ones, but also to the for data archiving, and also talking for our monitoring system and data warehouse, as mentioned it. As for RSP, we're going to use OAuth JWT token, mostly using the REST APIs. We're going to enable also two-way SSL. We're going to be communicating with our two ERP systems and 3 monitoring systems. As mentioned, we're going to use data warehouse for our long-time archival strategy. And as for design tool, I'm simply going to talk here with the Canvas app, but also for migrating the files to publishing it to S3. We're going to have to actually also talk this to ESB, which is going to take the files and put it to the correct folder on the S3. As for our entity management, there's already existing Active Directory, and assume there's already existing DFS which is going to be used for as our identity store and identity provider. We're going to SAML here. There's no requirement for automating the provisioning of the users. Let's move on now to our. Okay, sorry, I forgot to mention S3, which will be our place where we're going to store the files. More details later on for that. So for the understanding of the diagram, the blue are standard objects green are custom objects, and red is master detail. I'm going with the risk privilege assumption, so if not stated differently, all others are private. And first of all, we're going to have our lead, which would be assigned to our system specialist. And so get my user's notes to our system specialist. Then it will be converted to our account, which will be customer account with the contact, person primary contact, and we're gonna have our and also opportunity, which will be managed for our sales process with the products, and we're gonna have potentially multiple quotes and quote items to manage it. I'm going here with the assumption to which I stated that as there's limited timeline, the product synchronization between the systems will be done manually. That I'm assuming there's not other changes, and that products are synchronized, and there's magic IDs, and the sets will be used here as our system of records for the products, and same products IDs will be then reflected in ERP and in the monitoring systems. Now, after each of the accounts, customer accounts can have multiple locations, and on this location we're going to have a project, which is our main place when we're going to manage the actual design process. When the design process is approved, we're going to have an order to order actually the equipment for our monitoring systems, up to 50 or 100 in the later stages. And that order will be then sent to the ERP. When the order is fulfilled, the monitoring devices are connected. There will be stored in Salesforce as assets. For any financial data, it will be stored in the financial objects outside the location objects. That's due to the security requirements, and all the issues would be managed by case, which will be assigned to is private and will be assigned to the service agents. And any maintenance issues, the maintenance scheduled and ad hoc would be requested with the work orders. Let me quickly check if I go. Yes. Now moving on to the business requirements. So for that, let me go to my spreadsheet. So first off, let's discuss quickly about sales process. So there will be multiple channels where the list will be coming. This will be either by calling the service agent and or from the web form, which we're going to use here, web to lead as quick as time to market, and there's inside the provided threshold. For incoming leads, we're going to service Cloud Voice with the omni-channel to subscribe the prospects to leads to the system specialist. After the lead is assigned to the specialist, he's gonna pre-qualify. I'm just using ScreenFlow to streamline the process and to have a quick questionnaire, which then will be resulting in the score of the lead. If this is good enough, that's the step when the lead will be converted to the account contact opportunity. And upon this creation, we're going to have an activity created for the system specialist to have the visit in the customer location. So we're going to have here also a trigger on the opportunity creation, which is going to create our project, and I assume that and also during the lead conversion, we can also create a location record. Now, during this visit, the agent gonna take some pictures, so gonna take some videos, and due to the amount of the data and incoming, during my calculation, it says that there will be around 3.5 terabytes of the data gathered every year, which is a significant number considering that our current storage is 7 terabytes based on the assumption based on the provided number of the users. So then combining a new and existing file storage would be almost after a year on the limit. So for that I'm going with the Exploit Pro solution, where on the mobile app we're gonna have a component, and this component is gonna allow directly would be on the this is I think opportunity record, and which gonna allow the files and pictures to be uploaded to S3, and that's be displayed in the it'll be visible in the Salesforce. Now, if you're gonna after that visit, during the visit, we're gonna have also Lightning Web component where the location GPS coordinates will be stored on the location object, which is the part of the opportunity, and then the agent gonna create a quote using standard access authority and gonna email this quote to the customer. The next steps would be okay, and so the creation of the quote. When the quote will be updated to status sent, that's going to update the status of the opportunity, which is going to trigger a few things. So first of all, we're going to, as mentioned, update the status of the opportunity. We're going to have activate a future call to activate the customer as a community member if not already active, and we're going to create here a project record, and then finally okay, and view estimates and collaboration as system specialist during design process. Okay, now when back to the office, he's gonna start working on the design using the design tool. So for that, I'm suggesting using, as the design tool is a web application, I suggest here using a Canvas app, which gonna using sign request, which gonna then allow the agent to work on the design. The thing to note is that because the customer is not yet on the design tool or in other systems. So before we're going to do, we're going to have also the event published in Salesforce, which will capture BSB, which is going to then create the user and the customer record in the design tool. So upon entering of the send request, this can be already directed to that customer record. Okay, and when the plans are created, we're gonna have a customization done that the event will be raised. I assume here that has to be raised in Salesforce, that or can be raised inside the design tool. That these plans are ready to be picked up, and because of the large size, that's when this event will be picked up by the ESB. And sorry, missing here an hour. So this event of the plan being completed will be picked up by ESB, and this data will be then sent to S3, where it will be matched with the design plan as the ID of the project would be matching, and that's how, based on the structure of the naming convention, this record then will be automatically visible on the project record using Xslice Pro custom component, Lightning Web component. And this files then will be visible to any person who actually has access to that project, both internal and external. Once the design document is created, it will be reviewed. We're going to have a SDocs and SSR for digital signing of the by the customers, and we can use also Java to collaborate on them. At this point, customer will also provide the financial data. So this then the record of the financial data will be created, which is child of the location, will be stored to the security requirement in the separate object, and this means also that the quote will be going to the status of the approval, and will be then based on the size would be sent to other local manager or the regional manager, which is ultimately coming from the role hierarchy, and they are both above the role of the service specialist. And as mentioned previously, we're going to enable social login flow for our external external users, namely customers, to be able to access committee using their social login. Social login. Now moving on to the contracting installations. Another external users, which are contractors, will be created by ERP, and we're not going to allow our users to create records of that record type. It says Salesforce. We have our integration number one. We're gonna ERP gonna raise the user will be created in ERP and will be sent to Salesforce by schedule batch by ETL on the nightly batches. Then this ETL job going to both create account contact and user objects, which is going to then automatically send welcome email to the contractor. I assume that same way will be any updates to the contractor records will be same way, updating the data in Salesforce. System specialist is gonna automatically, manually assign that project to the contractor. So we have here a lookup for the project. This is the one here, which goes to the contact, will be the contractor contract, and that's why the contractor going to have access to the project using sharing set. He will be then reviewing the contract. He's gonna review using the Lightning components. He'll be also able to review all the products which are there, and in case there's any issues, he's going to collaborate that with the service agent. And if he doesn't agree, then the service agent will be responsible for creating a new quote and resending the whole process of the quotation. However, until the quote is accepted, the contractor will not be able to see that data. Once the design is accepted by contractor, he's gonna have the quick action. We're gonna start to say that he approves that. We're gonna then have also as assigned, so we're gonna send actually the contract agreement to the contractor, and he's gonna digitally signs it, and this data would be then stored against the project record. Now the system specialist would be notified that the contractor sign off this. This will be done using the flow based on the S-sign envelope which gonna then update the status of the projects, and that's gonna then trigger a flow. You're gonna send a notification to the system specialist that the project has moved on. Based on that, the system specialist is going to start the ordering process. So I assume that will be a quick action on the opportunity, which is going to then set the opportunity to the same safe want, which is going to then by trigger, we're going to based on the currently the opportunity item is going to create an opportunity records and opportunity products, and this then going to be sent to ERP via our integration number 2, where we're going to use a remote process integration pattern when you're going to have a platform event, which would be captured by ESB via command D. Then the ESB going to make calling to Salesforce to get order line items or other details, and then going to create the order in the corresponding ERP system, US or Canada ones, based on the location. And then there's also things to know that this, I'm assuming here that before this actually, or this when the contract is signed, before that there's also custom data is already created in the corresponding system, like monitoring and ERP. That will be copied when going to happen when the customer actually signs the quote from himself. Then we're going to have another platform event race, which is going to notify the systems about the system monitoring and ERPs about new customer, and ESB going to create this customer there. So moving back, as the customer is now there, all the details of the order has to be visible in Salesforce. So we're going to have I'm assuming here that ERP is capable of notifying ESB about the changes of the order status. And so there's going to be then remote calling from the ERP via ESB, which is going to then update the status of the order, including the final arrival of the order to the customer location. And now, when the updates of the status is when the status is when the order is delivered, then we're gonna have it's gonna update the status of the order to delivered. We're gonna have then a auto trigger flow, which gonna rise. We're gonna send a email and text messages using Service Cloud Voice to customer notification to the specialist and contractor, so they can start beginning their installation process. During installations, the devices will be activated and connected to the USB monitoring systems. I'm assuming here that this capability which I already have built in, as the companies are already operating and monitoring system have already served millions of devices. So one thing to note is, as the monitor system will already be aware of the customer and customer location, as the data was sent by ASB previously when the customer was activated. So I'm assuming here that whenever the device is connected to the monitoring system is capable of raising the event saying this location got this new asset, this new device, with some details about device, what type and serial number and identification, barcode number, etc. So this is when the monitoring gonna raise an event in the ESB, and ESB will make a call out to the Salesforce where we're gonna result in gonna create an asset record. Just to clarify how this magic is done, as the monitoring system send the location ID, gonna set the product type and all the details. Then the ESB will be able to create an asset and match it to the location, account, and product. Now, As installation is complete, that will be also status on the project, and we're going to have an invoicing sent. That will be another event that the installation is complete, so the invoice can be sent. That will be another remote notification by a platform event, and the invoice will be then sent via from ERP. As there's scheduled maintenance process, we're gonna have to we're gonna keep this data and next schedule date on the location. We're gonna have a batch job which gonna generate the work orders, which would be assigned to the location and the customer account. And this is gonna have our integration. We're gonna rest another platform event, which is gonna send to the ERP, and it's gonna have the service order raised there. And if the state is completed, then the specialist is going to update the status of the work order, which will be then sent the data to the system. And I assume here this close to real time is good enough, and then we're going to can use platform events here also. Monitoring and issues management. So we're going to use cases which can be raised either via ESB by the monitoring system, and based with the automatic case of the record type monitoring. That we also have an automation flow. We're going to create a task for the agents to be to contact in case of the issues. As our users have access to the customer community, they will be able to use cases directly there. We're going to also use scan anything to be able to scan the device barcode, which is going to bring up the asset ID and going to find out the asset. On the asset, we're going to have a quick action to raise a case directly from the asset page. And for the cases, we use skill-based routing, and for the maintenance work as the has to be ERP feedback has to be done directly. So we're going to have a screen flow. We're going to call the external services, remote process invocation, request reply. We're going to call the ASB, and ASB going to create a service order in ERP, and the same process will be used both from the support representative and for customers, and for manually. So customer can be created. So the customer can call it. So that's we're going to use again service cloud voice for CTI integration, and the process will be as above. So as we have about so many cases, I think have about 10 million cases raised. Space raise issues. Issues. So we're gonna have issues. 4 million issues raised per year, which is about 32 million of the in 5 years. For that, I was composed with using the archival strategy when the cases are after closing after a year would be moved to the archiving out of the warehouse, and it would be there's no requirement to expose it to the customers anymore, so they can just have sent the archive in the system. Now moving to our data migration. So as migration has to we have here a few challenges, including delete migration, which would be combining data for multiple systems. So for that, we're gonna have our migration strategy where we're gonna use our ETL capabilities. We're gonna have staging tables, which are gonna be in and out, where out is the same for Salesforce and in these natural ones. As for leads we're planning for EADB and our old system, the data has to be combined, and we have to check for duplicates. No active customer should be migrated as the lead, so they have to be deduplicated, cleansed, the transformation, and make sure we're going to involve data stewards and SMEs to provide the inputs on the automated scripts, and the data which will not be moved can be moved to the data warehouse. And the active clients will be assets, and other things will be coming through the ERP. Again, this is as there can be duplicates. We're going to create here external IDs, which will be used to match the records across the multiple systems, and this will be our IDs we use in the future for reference. During the next changing thing would be migrating the files, where the files are currently in the laptops. For that reason, we're going to have to put it in the one shared space. Let's say SharePoint or anywhere we're going to pick up by ETL. We have to set up again the naming convention to match the files to the folders, which are going to match the records to which is be related. Thanks. Hopefully, it's a problem with S3 going to allow us easy matching as the based on name and the folder names. So thanks to it, it will be a bit simplified when the files will be actually matched in the correct folders. It's enough that it will be loaded to the S3 and that will be automatically then matched to the corresponding record in Salesforce. So that's we can also use here external IDs as inside our folders names for the mapping. Important things to note about our migration process, that we're going to also make sure that we're going to turn on different sharing. We're going to turn off our automation, especially notifications for API data. We may also use the data masking, especially email addresses or doing testing or phone numbers to make sure that our customers are not communicated. During our next testing, we're going to first migrate some of the data to partial sandbox to test the mappings, and then we're going to move to full sandbox, where we're going to actually put whole data. We're going to have a performance testing. We're going to also define on that any LDV issues will be also tested here, and we're gonna based on that defined, we're gonna have a stage or one client move into the production. We're gonna load the data in the correct order, like with the product setups, then list accounts, location, opportunity orders, assets, and cases. Now quickly about our LDV. So if you're gonna go back in our data model, we have quite a few LDV records. So the assets, it will be about 10 million of the assets, which are controlled by parent. So for assets, we can use skin tables, which is our last resource. But as there will be pretty well distributed across multiple customer accounts, we most of course should be actually selective by nature, as we could be per location or per assets, and lookups are already indexed. However, we may need to create a few additional custom indexes, and for any unused assets or inactive customers, they will be moved to the data warehouse. For our quotation products, when after half a year, when after used one, they will be actually deleted and moved to the data warehouse. Only I think only the products would be or would be maintained in the system for 3 years. So in terms of the data long storage, for short storage, we're going to use again custom indexes. We may consider using skin tables. However, this comes with the huge impact on the write operation. So this will be our last results. Okay. Now back to our requirements. So we went through the external benching, external IDs, and the migrate previous records. Okay, so back to our visibility requirements. We're going to use owner-based sharing for the specialists to see their records. They'll be using that for for seeing in the same office, we're going to use Apex sharing with public groups, as there's 150 locations, so it's too much to use the criteria-based sharing. We're going to select role hierarchy to provide the access to the managers, and object sharing and sharing set for contractors, so they'll be able to see the projects directly, and customers, because we see all the data either by implicit sharing or by sharing sets. And for the account hierarchy, we use primary role hierarchy and pairing share sets to enable the customer community to see the data. And for support centers, we're going to have two public groups, and with criteria-based sharing was to show all the customers in the country. For reporting, we're going to have standard reporting for support and specialists to see the customer ones. For system specialists and support specialists to show the number of monitoring events. I'm assuming here that this is just it's not real time, and that is like summary of the events raised so far. So I'm going to have here a ETL job, which is going to provide the count of the assets on the nightly batch and of the events will be stored on the assets record itself, and that's what we can use standard reporting. And for managers, due to the high number of records, and that's already have double CRM license, we're gonna provide them the same report in double CRM, and same for we're going to double CRM for a geography dependent and cross-system reporting. For customers, we're going to secondary customers which have CC, we're going to use these views showing all the cases, and for the primary contacts which have CC+, we can provide a case report. And as we want to show the number of events and installations, I'm assuming that this data will be presented to the website via ESB, which will be also cached in this result in ESB, and this is going to take it from monitoring systems and from Salesforce. As managers, you're going to enable translations on the system, and let's move quickly about the project governance. So we're going to enable COE with the legal team, as there's contracts, etc. We can also, to avoid scope script, we're going to use our central review board. For technical session, we're going to have our integration team. This will be cross teams. So we have our integration team. We're going to have our technical team going to provide also design the authority here, and as a review, provide also the best practices around the system deployments. All the plans will be managed by the release management team, and really important here also be data team to have the data dictionaries across the whole system. We're going to have a functional team with adoption and SMEs. Now, before to move on, as we have the system working with the great autonomy, we're going to have our CE across the team. At the same time, we're going to have a mix of waterfall and agile for all integrations, and how plans. We're going to have a concept-based waterfall approach, but we're going to have instead we're going to work in the agile way with all the meetings, etc., sprint demo, etc. We have limited number of the testing environments, so we can use tabs. We're going to use ESB for moving out, but finally, the most important is that the test environment will be connected to UAT, and we can use other environment to connect with the ESP. As we have the really limited timeline, I suggest maybe doing the MVP approach with the stage deployment to reduce the risk and to have the ability to improve the lesson learned. And we have the business management here involved. So for process, we're going to have a process quality gateway provided. We're going to use Agile, we're going to use Jira, we're going to use multiple systems. As for code quality, like Python, unit testing, we're going to see our CA runs. We're going to use code repository with as our source of truth. We're going to use PRs and CI/CD and pipelines. We're going to have a full sandbox as UAT, partial as SAT, and our production. There will be all the process will be done by pipelines. We're going to for internet testing. We're going to use Prover for UI testing and Clayton for code quality checks. Git flow for deployment process. Hopefully, this solution will be well fit and provide university with the great experience on the Salesforce platform. Thank you very much.